There are moments so small. When they happen, you have no idea they'll change everything. Not until months later, looking back, do you realize, so that's where it all began. For me, it was the evening after the rain in Malibu. After that dinner, the relationship between Ezra and me changed very naturally. No one said anything. No one meant to. It's just that he started texting me more. Not to ask about the schedule, but very ordinary things. Have you had lunch yet? Or, that coffee shop you recommended is really good. Or simply a photo of Winston asleep on his laptop, with the caption, "He just deleted half my email." Every time I got a message like that, I smiled, then reminded myself, don't misunderstand. He just sees you as a friend. 3 days later, Ezra had a rare day off. No interviews, no filming, no photo shoots. Olivia called me in the morning. "You don't need to come in today." "Really?" "Yeah. Ezra needs some time alone too." I was a little surprised, but nodded anyway. Okay. For the first time in over 2 months, I had a completely free day. I slept until almost 9. Did laundry. Cleaned the apartment. Took Mason furniture shopping. An ordinary life. And yet, around 4 in the afternoon, my phone buzzed. Ezra. I picked up right away. "Hello, Rowan." His voice sounded very calm. "Are you busy?" "No. He hesitated. "Could I ask you for a favor?" "Sure. In an hour. Come to the address I'll send you. But don't wear work clothes." I laughed. "So what should I wear?" "Whatever makes you feel like Rowan. I don't need an assistant. I just need—" He paused. "A friend." The call ended. I stared at the phone screen for a long time. I don't know why. Just that one sentence made my heart race faster than my first day of the interview. The address Ezra sent was an outdoor basketball court near Santa Monica. When I arrived, he was already there, wearing a gray hoodie, shorts, sneakers, a baseball cap. No bodyguard, no crew. If you didn't look closely, no one would think the man shooting hoops was one of Hollywood's biggest stars. Seeing me, he smiled. "You made it. You know how to play basketball?" "I played in high school. Badly. But enough not to embarrass myself." I caught the ball he tossed over. "I'm not good either." "Then it's fair." We played for almost an hour. Actually, calling it playing isn't quite right. Mostly missed shots, laughing, then teasing each other. Once I threw the ball so hard it bounced clean off the backboard. Ezra laughed so hard he had to lean on his knees. "Rowan, what? Were you trying to score? Or trying to break the backboard?" I glared at him. "You throw one first, then talk." He took the ball, stepped up confidently, threw it. The ball hit the rim straight on and bounced right back. I burst out laughing. "My turn now." "Fine. From now on, we're never mentioning that shot again." "Why?" "Because I'm a celebrity. Gotta keep some image." I laughed until tears came. For the first time since I'd known Ezra, I saw him laugh like that. No cameras needed. No audience needed. Just simply laughing. After we finished playing, we sat resting on the bleachers. The sky was starting to turn orange. Ezra handed me a bottle of water. "Thanks." He looked out at the court. "Back in college, I used to come here a lot." "You went to school near here?" "Yeah. I used to think I'd live a very ordinary life. Then one day, life took a different direction." I turned to him. "Do you regret it?" He thought for a long time. "Regret, no. But I do have regrets." "Regrets about what?" "About not getting the chance to grow up like everyone else. I missed out on so much. Graduation, college parties, awkward first loves. All of it." He smiled sadly. "Sometimes I look at you, and I get curious." "Curious about what?" "If I hadn't become famous, would I have turned into someone like you?" I stayed quiet. I didn't know how to answer, because in my eyes, Ezra never needed to become anyone else. As the sun was about to set, a boy about 10 years old recognized Ezra. He ran over, very shy. Are you Ezra Bennett?" Ezra smiled. I am. Can I play a game with you? I thought a bodyguard would appear, or that Ezra would say no. But no. He stood up. Sure. One-on-one. 15 minutes later, I stood outside watching a movie star pretend to lose to a 10-year-old boy. The kid laughed until his face turned red. When the mother and son were leaving, the mother bowed her head to thank him. My son has cancer. The doctor said today was the first day he was willing to leave the house. Thank you. Ezra just nodded quietly, said nothing. Once they were completely out of sight, he sat back down, let out a long breath. I looked at him. You lost on purpose. Yeah. Why? He smiled. He needed the win more than I did. I turned my face away, because if I looked at him any longer, I was afraid I wouldn't be able to hide my feelings. There are people who make you fall for them because of their looks. There are people who make you fall for them because of their talent. But Ezra, he made people's hearts stir because of the things he did when no one was watching. And I began to understand. Maybe the first clause of the contract was never written to protect Ezra. It was written to protect the people who got too close to him. Because once you've seen the real Ezra Bennett, not falling in love with him might just be the one impossible thing. There's a line I once read somewhere. Love doesn't begin with a kiss. It begins the day you realize the first person you want to tell everything to is that person. By the end of the 4th month of the contract, I finally understood what that line meant. Because no matter what happened during the day, the first person I thought of was always Ezra. And the more frightening thing was, maybe he had started to feel the same way too. The Horizon Awards were only 3 days away. The whole company was practically working around the clock. Olivia was in back-to-back meetings with the PR team. The designer was adjusting the tuxedo down to the millimeter. My phone almost never stopped ringing. While the whole world prepared for the moment Ezra would step onto the red carpet, only one person seemed largely unbothered. Ezra himself. That evening, I brought the schedule to his apartment for him to sign off on. He was sitting out on the balcony, a book in his hand. Not a script, not a contract, just an old novel. I thought you'd be rehearsing a speech. I'm not preparing one. Why not? If I win, I'll just speak honestly. If I don't win, I'll go home and sleep. I laughed. That's really it? Yeah. He closed the book. Rowan. Are you afraid of failing? Yes. Very afraid. He looked at me closely. Then why do you still always try? I thought for a few seconds. Because if I don't try, I'll always wonder afterward. What if I'd been braver that day? Ezra said nothing, but his eyes lingered on me longer than usual. Right then, his phone buzzed. The screen showed a name. Mom. Ezra looked at the screen, sighed quietly, then hung up. I was a little surprised. Aren't you going to answer? Later. Everything okay? He was silent. A moment later he smiled. My family isn't simple. I had never heard Ezra talk much about his parents. The press barely had any information either. Realizing I'd asked something too personal, I was about to change the subject. But he spoke up first. My parents divorced when I was 13. I lived with my mom. She always wanted me to have a normal life. Still does, even now. What about your dad? Ezra gave a faint smile. He likes Ezra Bennett. Not really Ezra. That sentence caught in my throat. Maybe fame doesn't make every relationship better. Sometimes it makes them more complicated. 2 days before the awards, an unexpected incident happened. Around midday, we had just left a stage rehearsal when a man burst through the barrier. He was holding a phone, running and shouting, Ezra, I just want to talk. Security stepped in immediately to block him. The scene turned chaotic. Out of reflex, I stepped forward, placing myself between the man and Ezra. The whole thing lasted only a few seconds. Then security got the man under control. The car pulled away quickly. Once we were safe, I noticed my hands were shaking. Ezra sat beside me, saying nothing. Suddenly he grabbed my wrist. Give it here. What? Your hand. I looked down. In the rush, I'd scraped it against the metal barrier. A small cut was bleeding. I'm fine. Don't move. Ezra pulled out a first aid kit from the car. Very carefully disinfected it. Applied a bandage. Every motion slow and deliberate. I looked at him. Couldn't help smiling. Why do you look so serious? He didn't smile back. Why did you step in front of me? Just reflex. What if that man had a knife? I said nothing. Honestly, in that moment I hadn't thought much at all. I'd only thought that I didn't want anyone to hurt him. Ezra finished tying off the bandage. Still didn't let go of my hand. Don't do that again. His voice was very soft. Don't risk yourself for me. I looked up. For the first time, I saw in Ezra's eyes, not gratitude, but fear. He had truly been afraid. Afraid I'd get hurt. That evening, after everyone had left, I got a text. Not about the schedule. Not an email. Just one short line from Ezra. Thank you for today. I replied. I was just doing my job. The scene mark appeared right away, but it took him a long time to reply. Just one sentence. No. An assistant wouldn't see danger and run toward it. I stared at the screen for a long time, my finger hovering over the keyboard, not knowing how to answer, because he was right. I hadn't acted like an assistant. I had acted like someone afraid of losing the person she loved. And for the first time in 4 months, I no longer had the strength to lie to myself. I loved Ezra, truly loved him. The only pity was, that was the one thing the contract had forbidden from day one. That night I couldn't sleep, not because of the schedule, not because the awards were only 2 days away, but because for the first time in 4 months, I was forced to face a truth I'd been trying to avoid. I loved Ezra. It wasn't fondness anymore. It wasn't admiration anymore. It wasn't some feeling that could be explained away as professional either. I loved him, and the thing that hurt most was that I wasn't allowed to let him know. The next morning, I got to the office earlier than usual. I decided I'd keep my distance, at least for the final weeks of the contract. If I didn't, by the day we parted, I might not be strong enough to smile. The plan sounded very reasonable, but it only lasted about 3 minutes. Good morning. Ezra walked in, 2 cups of coffee in hand. A caramel latte. Less sugar. I remembered you like it that way. I froze in place. He remembered? I'd only ordered that once. Nearly 3 months ago. I took the coffee. Thanks. Ezra looked at me. Are you okay? I'm fine. You sure? I smiled. Sure. He frowned slightly, but didn't ask further. I knew I'd just lied. And I also knew, Ezra had noticed, the Horizon Awards were held on Saturday evening. From early morning, the whole team was in a flurry. Makeup artists, stylists, photographers, reporters, phones ringing nonstop. The dressing room felt like the eye of a storm. Only Ezra sat calmly reading in a corner. I walked over. It's time. He closed the book. Let's go. When the stylist finished adjusting the last detail of his bow tie, the whole room fell silent for a few seconds. The black tuxedo fit every line perfectly. A simple silver watch. His hair neatly combed. Ezra looked in the mirror, then turned to me. How is it? I nodded. Perfect. He smiled. You always say that. No. I shook my head. Today's different. Different how? I meant to say, you're so handsome it takes people's breath away. But in the end I just smiled. You're going to win today. Ezra laughed. Are you superstitious? No. I just believe. Believe what? That good people get good things. He looked at me. His eyes softened. Thank you. The limousine pulled up to the red carpet. The cheering roared. Hundreds of flashbulbs lit up. Ezra took a deep breath, then turned to me. Rowan. If I get nervous out there, remind me to breathe. I smiled. Okay. The car door opened. Ezra stepped out. The shouting nearly shook the air itself. Ezra. Look this way. Ezra. He smiled, waved, composed as always. Only I knew, right before he stepped out. His hand had briefly clenched into a fist. He got nervous too. He just never let anyone see it. The ceremony lasted nearly 3 hours. When it came time for Best Actor, I noticed Ezra sit up straighter. The presenter opened the envelope. Silence fell over the whole hall. And the winner is Ezra Bennett. The whole hall rose to its feet. Applause thundered. I stood up too, without realizing when. My eyes had already gone red. Ezra turned toward the seats. Among hundreds of people, his eyes found exactly where I stood. Then he smiled, just for a second. But I knew that smile was for me. He walked up onto the stage, held the trophy, took a deep breath. First of all, thank you. The hall laughed. Ezra laughed too. I thought a lot about what I'd say if I ever stood here. But right now, I just want to be honest. He looked out at the audience. Over the years, everyone has only ever seen the polished version of me. But very few people know. There are days I'm not okay at all. The room went quiet. I've been lucky. Because this year, I met someone. My heart stopped. I won't say their name. But that person reminded me that, even if the whole world sees me as a star, there's still someone who simply asks, "Have you eaten yet?" The hall let out a soft laugh. As for me, my whole body had gone rigid. That was the question. I asked him every single day. Ezra went on. That person helps me remember that before I'm an actor, I'm just a person. Thank you. I'm truly grateful. Applause rose up, but I could barely hear any of it anymore, because in my head there was only one thought. Who is he talking about? Reason told me, couldn't be me, but my heart, for the first time, dared to hope, and that very hope was about to push us both toward a moment neither of us could run from our feelings any longer. After the awards ceremony, I made myself stay busy, answering emails, confirming interview schedules, checking the car, sorting paperwork, doing anything to keep from thinking about Ezra's speech. But the harder I tried to avoid it, the more clearly I remembered every line. There's someone who always asks if I've eaten. Over the past 4 months, that had practically become my first greeting every morning. If it wasn't me, then who else could it be? I scolded myself. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't torture yourself. Around 11 at night, the celebration was still going. Directors, producers, actors, everyone wanted to raise a glass with Ezra. I stood in a corner of the room, checking next week's flight schedule. Just then, Olivia walked over. Rowan. Yes, Ezra's looking for you. He's in the middle of an interview. No, she smiled. He said, when you're done, tell Rowan to meet me on the rooftop. I was a little surprised. Now? Yeah. Why? Olivia shrugged. Ask him yourself. The hotel rooftop looked out over all of Los Angeles. City lights stretched out like a galaxy. The night air was quite cold. Ezra stood leaning against the railing, still holding the trophy. Hearing the door open, he turned. You came. You were looking for me? Yeah. I walked closer. We were both quiet for a few seconds. Finally, I spoke first. Congratulations. Thank you. You deserve it. Ezra smiled. But there's something more important than this trophy. My heart skipped without meaning to. He looked out over the city. Last year, I was going to quit acting. I froze. What? I was burned out. I couldn't find any joy in it anymore. Every morning I woke up, I'd ask myself, who am I even living for? I had never heard him say this before. Never. Ezra turned the trophy slowly in his hands. Then you showed up. I went still. You brought breakfast to my apartment. A schedule. Reminders to take my medicine. Scolding me for forgetting to eat. He smiled. Nothing big. But, for the first time in a long while, I started looking forward to every morning. I looked at him, couldn't say a word, because every thought in my head had vanished. Ezra stepped slowly toward me, the distance between us now less than a meter. Rowan. Do you remember the first clause in the contract? I gave a weak smile. How could I forget? He nodded. The day that clause was written, I was the one who asked for it. Why? Because I once watched two former assistants fall in love with other artists. It always ended in pain. I didn't want that to happen again. I looked down. I understand. But, Ezra smiled softly, there was one thing I never accounted for. What was that? No one ever mentions. That an artist could fall for their assistant too. The world around me seemed to stop. I looked up sharply. Ezra was looking straight at me. No avoiding it. No hesitation. I tried. So many times. I kept telling myself, she's your employee. Don't complicate things. In 6 months it'll be over. He shook his head slightly. But every time you smiled, I'd forget all of it. I felt my eyes sting. Ezra. He stepped closer. That day you stepped in front of me. I wasn't afraid of that man. I was only afraid of you getting hurt. From that moment on, I knew. I no longer saw you as just my assistant. I took a deep breath, but my voice still trembled. You know, I've loved you for a long time now. Ezra smiled, a very gentle smile. Really? Yeah. I tried to deny it, tried to keep my distance, tried to remember the first clause. But I lost. Ezra let out a soft laugh. Good thing. Why? Because I lost too. The distance between us now just a few centimeters. He looked at me as if waiting for one final answer. Rowan. The contract still has 2 weeks left. Yeah. We still have to stay professional. I nodded. Agreed. He smiled. So, after those 2 weeks, would you like to go out with me? I laughed until tears fell without my even noticing. I thought you'd never ask. What do you mean? Because I've had my answer ready for a long time now. And what's the answer? I looked straight into his eyes. Yes. 100 times yes. Ezra gently took my hand. It was the first time. Not for work. Not to help me up. Not to bandage a wound. But simply, a man holding the hand of the person he loved. Under the night sky of Los Angeles. No cameras. No audience. Just the two of us. And a new promise. This time, not, we will never fall in love with each other. But, from now on, we'll never have to hide our love again.